Okay. All right. Let's just get this set up. I just realized I should have done a sound check on the other one. Okay, just another topic on the status of America. Just kind of doing an overview of currently where the United States stands as of today, March 28th, 2026. Um, the biggest thing we're going to talk about here is current financial and social challenges that the American people are facing at this time. Um, see, so let's get into it. All right, so the pressures facing Americans today, we have economic strain that is on Americans, not every American, but a lot of Americans on economic strain on them. And it is reshaping oh, I can't even say that right. Basically, it's just affecting households. Debt is at very high levels and is growing, personal and national. Understanding the facts empowers better decisions. What does that mean? So that basically understanding the facts help you make a better decision. Understanding what is going on in the country and how everything that happened is normal. It is just a process. It's just the process and the way things go. I think it was in a movie. Ray Liotta said that sometimes when you're up, you don't think you're up. Then when you're down, you don't think you'll get back up again. Basically, when you're in a good place, you don't even know it until you're in a bad place. Then you're trying to get back to that good place. America's in a very bad place right now as a whole. We're okay, but we can see the cliff coming, and it's not looking good. Okay, first we have a car loan crisis, and we also just have a car crisis with how these new cars are being made. They're not being made to last. They're being made to break after a certain time. A lot of parts that used to be made from solid metal or made of plastic that will fail, causing other things to fail, causing your car to need to be maintained more. But let's just focus on the car loan crisis for now. So first, the average new car price is around $48,000. That was as of 2024. That doesn't mean that's the value of the car. A lot of people get it confused that um, a lot of the that the price of the car is the value of the car. No, that's the price that the dealership or the person is selling the car for. It does not mean that it's the actual value of the car. And that is something that needs to be taught. In addition, we have the loan rate. Finance rates, the average is 9%, but we have people taking out loans at 18, 20% on a loan because they believe that after making payments, it will improve their credit and they can refinance it. In certain cases, yes, but in certain cases, no. Most cases, no, they're not able to refinance it and they have very high car notes. And that's why repossessions is up 23%, and it just keeps going up. And is actually a model that goes into the subprime auto loans. We have it stated that 1 in 4 auto loans is subprime, which means the interest rates are very high on a very low value car that keeps getting repossessed, and it's a system now, and it's actually trapping people in more debt because when the car is repossessed, the value of the payment of the car is done, but then the person still owes the interest and the remaining balance. And then now they don't have to go they don't have a car, so they have to get a car with a repossession on it, which hurts their credit, which means they have to pay a higher interest on a car, which means they have a higher car note, which means they probably got a high chance of repossession. And it's just a cycle that's being pushed. And cars are needed. Cars are just a needed part of our society, even though we have public transportation. It's good to have a car because you're in the car alone. You're going where you need to go at the time when you need to be there. And it's very convenient. A car is one of the most convenient things in the world. Transportation that goes for like, well, they also say for the motorcycles because stuff like that. Because you, yeah. And people know that, and they're using it to their advantage to make money. But also, the car dealers are in trouble. That's why they're upping the price on the newer or the used cars because they have a bottom line that they're behind on. So they'll throw an extra 1,000 or extra 2,000 on the value of a car, see if somebody will pay it. That helps them to get them out of debt. So yeah, take a look at that. It's a lot of YouTube videos and TikTok videos on the car loan crisis. Even even for the sellers, even the car dealerships are in trouble currently right now. All right, we got the housing market squeeze. Depending on where you live, the median house price is 420,000. If you live in California, especially in the Bay Area, it's in the millions. And those houses are overpriced. If you were to go to Oakland, San Francisco, and see a house and see how much they were selling it for, you might start screaming at the person because you think they're trying to scam them, but they are really selling $1 million houses that look like the trap drug houses. Look like somebody was running meth out of that house. Really, you want $1 million for that? Really, it'll really piss you off. And that's the biggest thing that's killing people, especially in Northern California. Why you have, well, it's not why you have so much crime, but it's part of it. It kind of pushes the fraud, the need for fraud. There's so much fraud up there in San Francisco, Bay Area, Northern California, LA as well, Los Angeles. So just go back. Just talking about the housing market squeeze. Okay, so yeah, you have a medium home price that is very high, but you must inspect these houses because a lot of these houses are built very cheaply. They'll state that there's, once again, just like with the cars, we're selling this house for 420,000, but when you've been an inspector into that house, you'll find that the drywall in the house is very cheaply. You have black mold in the house. The foundation is actually moving and cracking. You're going to have to fix that foundation on it. And a lot of people don't learn that they overpaid on the house until something bad happens and the insurance company has to come out and look at that house, and they find a lot of stuff out that they didn't even know about or didn't check for. That's why people say it's always good to get the house inspected. If I was to buy a house, I would have two different inspectors come and look at the house, and I would pay them both. Because if you're going to be taking out a 30-year mortgage that is half your life, well, no, it's more than half. You're probably going to, if you pay it off, let's say you bought a house when you're 30, by the time you paid it off, you're in your 60s. That's half your life spent paying a mortgage. You need to make sure that you're paying for something, you're paying the actual value of that home. And they're even pushing the 50-year mortgage, which a person would never pay that off in most cases. It would get passed down. So why do I label this the housing market squeeze? Because uh, the housing market has issues. You have a lot of sellers right now that cannot sell their home, even if they drop the price on it. Some people are just now trying to break even on selling their houses because for whatever reason they need to sell it, and they can't even do that. Before, when people bought houses, oh, just buy a house, yeah, you'll make money on it. And housing always goes up. Well, it's gone up so much that nobody can afford it. That buyers are being very, oh, sorry about that. Buyers are being very careful when buying a home. And because there are less buyers for sellers, foreclosures are rising in many locations. Some just because, well, we have people can't pay the mortgage anymore. You have a lot of people losing their jobs. Um, they blaming it on AI, but companies are just laying people off because companies are in debt. and they're trying to pay off debt, or for whatever reason, or they're trying to make more money. They're trying to seem more profitable to the because that's the job of the CEO, to make the company look like it's profitable. So people are losing a job. People lose a job, they can't pay their mortgage, so the home goes in foreclosure because they can't also cannot sell it, and they don't want to lose. Some people are taking losses when they sell the house, so the bank comes and takes it back, and it's even becoming a model. The bank wants you to be foreclosed on because then they get the house back, which they can sell to another sucker. And then also you owe the difference debt on the house from what the difference of the loan is. If you look it up, there's a lot of YouTube videos on that where people are talking about they cannot sell their home. They're trying to sell their home and how hard it is, and the stress that's on them for just owning a home. Because when you own a home, it's just not somewhere you live. You have to maintenance the home. You have to pay property taxes. You have to pay your insurance on the home. And on another video, I'll talk about the insurance, the issues with insurance, and people need to get up to speed when you're a homeowner. And it kind of goes back to car insurance. So, home insurance, car insurance, and even health insurance, you need to understand it. Because a lot of people don't even know they have deductibles on their insurance until they have to use it and they have to pay their deductible. Most people with health insurance do because you use health insurance more. But yeah, this situation with housing is it is a big issue right now. And if the economy keeps going down and we have enough foreclosures, it's going to affect an entire society. It's affecting cities now. The reason why cities are having shortfalls in their budget is because they're taking in less property tax because people can't pay it, or the house has been foreclosure. So really, cities don't want foreclosures because they need people to pay their property taxes, especially cities that are not managing the money properly. A lot of cities are spending the money before they even take it in, and at least they're in trouble. And that goes back to the housing market. Something just to look at, but it's also another big stress that is affecting American society today. Living on credit. It, ooh, hold up. The people in the 1940s, they would look at what people are doing and how they're living on credit, and they would start screaming and shouting and throwing things at them. Years ago, having credit cards and having easy access to credit was not something that was possible. But today, people live on credit like crazy. Americans now carry trillions of dollars. Well, 1.3, it's probably almost 2 trillion now in credit card debt, and which is a record balance. This not only puts the person that owes the credit in with issues, it also leads to companies. A lot of people think that when you have a credit card, the money's owed to Visa and MasterCard. No, they're just the processors. There's a bank or a company that is really the one that takes out the credit on it. So one thing, it just shows that the status of American society is in trouble. And American people have not been told we've been in a recession. Don't wait for the government to tell you you've been in a recession. We've been in a recession since 2008. A lot of people just don't know it because of credit. Well, other people are doing fine. Do you really know how those people are doing? If you really were to find out that person they have a brand new car, they have this, everything looks good on the outside, but when you look a little deeper, oh, you took a second mortgage out on your home. Your credit cards are maxing. That car is a lease. Oh man, this person is scraping by. But on the surface, you got the big house, you got two BMWs out front. Don't buy a BMW, by the way. And well, unless it's like a 600, 800. No, don't buy a BMW. They're maintenance. You don't want one. But anyway, you see people with the car, two-car garage. They got the BMWs outside, and come to find out, they are one check away from losing everything. Shout out to the TSA. Hopefully, it's good to hear that they got paid. And it's just situations like that where if people don't get their paychecks, they have to turn to credit. The TSA people not getting paid, they've been living on credit. and Congress does not care. That goes back to a previous discussion. Don't depend on government, but they work for the government. But that is just a perfect example. Congress would not fund them, but they continue to get their checks, even though they were not doing their job properly. So, an example, the TSA people, they were using credit cards to pay for groceries, gas to get to work. Hopefully, they get paid very quickly so they can get all that paid off. But also, a lot of problems that in American society, even when people do have the money to pay for the credit cards, they get that buying itch. Okay, all this money is supposed to go to pay off the credit card, but they go and buy something else with it and just make a payment on the credit card instead of for paying it all off. My theory is once you use the credit card, you agreed to use the money that you got in your next paycheck or however you get money to it goes directly to the credit card because you've already spent it. There's no question on what to do with it. I mean, I would say the only caveat if you got to pay your rent or you got to get something to eat. But besides that, you're not going out with the friends. You're not going to the bar. Uh, you're not going to go buy the new Jordans that just came out. You're just that whole check is going to the card because you already spent it to the credit company to Klarna. And that's something else. It's not just with credit cards now. They came out with Klarna to pay for food, credit, buying food on credit, vacations. People went to Coachella on credit, which was a horrible. From the videos, it looked like a horrible, horrible time. Coachella's gone down. Uh, wasn't that great to begin with, but it's even more horrible now. And people are paying very high interest rates on this loans, on this credit. It's not just credit cards. You got the Klarna, you got so many different credit. You can even pay in your rent. You can they have credit services for now, and it just shows a decline in America. I know it seems like I'm rambling a lot, but the nutshell of going, America has declined. People just need to look at that. People just look, oh, this broke. I'll just go get a new one instead of for fixing it. Or, oh, well, I've had this couch for this long. I'm gonna get a new one. What's wrong with that couch? It looks fine. Yeah, it is fine, but I just want a new one. Why? And our economy depends on people spending. But you just need to look at things. I would say before you think, oh, I just need a new car. Look, what's wrong with it? Well, I just don't like it. Well, wash it and wax it. It'll be cheaper to spend $300 washing and waxing your car and getting it detailed than going out buying a new one. And also, yeah, just take care of it. Taking care of things more, and start just thinking that you can just go buy something new. But our economy does push that. But we have to. Politicians can't come out to people saying that we're in tough times right now. They wait for things to get better. Like, yeah, that was a tough time. It's always after the fact. Like right now, we might be in recession. We've been in recession. The inflation rate has gone up, so you cannot buy what you used to. Well, some people don't. Yeah, you do not know how those people are doing it and what people are doing to get the money to do that. If you were to scrape beneath the surface and see where the foundation for that money came from, you'll know that that person was very lucky, or they were basically killing themselves. You have people that's working two, three jobs. Whew, they made the money, they're happy, but their mind is burnt. It is burnt, meaning they are just they're shells. They're drones. They go to work, come home, take a shower, sleep, go to work, go home, sleep. That's why you see people snapping. Some cases, people are they just don't have no training, or they're just going through other things. But some cases, it's where you have the husband that's been working two jobs, killing himself, and find out his wife is cheating on her, and he stabs her to death. Um, and it just comes back to the stress of everything. And America is declining. I can kind of get away from the topic, but just to kind of pull it back in. America's living on credit right now. If you're living on credit, stop it. You need to budget, find a way out. And if you are, just slowly wean yourself off credit and just paying for everything and just realize I can't do that. Before you buy that new thing for your home, just clean up your home. Clean the floor, rearrange the house, look at what you already have. Because I'm sure everybody has done this before where you buy something, come to find out you already had it in the home. But advertising and everything is going to continue to push this bill to spend money, especially with younger children, college kids. The credit companies that give credit, they love college kids between the ages of 18 and 22. That's when the biggest debt, the biggest, craziest contracts are signed. Um, and women, because the society pushes on women, they have to look a certain way and have a certain thing, and all that costs money. Even women that say being a woman is more expensive than being a man because it's a societal push on women to have certain things, so that leads them to spending and using credit. And we are currently in a credit crisis. Now we're going to switch places because this is mostly just talking about the status of America. We have a lot of fraud going on in America. A lot of fraud. You'll see reports. There's a report that one of the females that was listed on 30 for 30, she's now going to jail for fraud. She was supposed to be a very wealthy person, but come to turn out she was just doing fraud, and fraud is real big. We have tax fraud where companies are just cheating on their taxes, fake accounts, even fake companies. Um, People are doing insurance fraud. One example of insurance fraud is where they cannot pay their cars. So their goal is to get into an auto accident, have the car totaled out, but after the insurance company pays off the car, they go to the auction where the car has been salvaged and try to buy the car back and get it fixed. For example, people say, well, how do you do that if the car's totaled out? Because the car is totaled out does not mean it's not usable. You can get into a car accident, have the airbags deploy in the vehicle in the car, consider the total loss, buy the car from an auction, just get all that repaired, and just keep the car. And how the fraud works is a lot of times people have an agreement with a repair shop that can fix the vehicle for them. And they make it, instead of making payments on a loan, they make a payment to the shop. The shop makes money from that repair, from the money that the insurance company paid the person. Another example too, people just speaking on the insurance fraud with car insurance, people will get in accidents, take the vehicle to their buddy or their buddy's friend's car repair shop. They want to use that shop and they charge very high prices over market value, which the insurance pays because they have to get the car fixed. They get the car fixed, the person gets their car fixed, the shop gets their money, and then the person gets a kickback. That's insurance fraud. And then you have injury fraud, which is several things where people are in car accidents and it'll be one person in the car, but when it's reported, there were five people in that car when the accident occurred, and there wasn't. There are rings going on in Los Angeles and the Southern California, Northern California area with insurance fraud. They do it every day. Storage fraud. That's where your car is towed for whatever reason. It takes you a couple of days to find the car, and once you find it, it's at a tow lot. You got to get it out, but you got to pay the storage fees. But you don't even know why your car was towed, and it shouldn't have been towed. But the storage lot just knows it was towed, and every day, $350 of storage, and you need to get the car out, so you got to pay it to get it out, and it should not. It should have never even been towed. And you try to take it to court, you can't take the tow yard to court because they're telling you, well, they were told to tow the car, and you really can't find out who. You don't have the money for a lawyer. The tow lot just makes money. Not old tow lots. You can tell the difference between a scamming tow lot and a regular tow lot. The average price of storage is $100 to $150. If they're charging $250 to $300, they want cash only. They're scamming you most likely. And speaking of scams, you have government. Members of government, politicians are the biggest frauders in the world. Well, not in the world, in our country. Politicians set up approved contracts for companies and get kickbacks. For example, for the immigration, Alligator Alcatraz cost $100 million to be built, but it ended up never being used. Um, the whoever got that government contract made a lot of money, but also the politician that agreed to it got a kickback from that. It doesn't the money doesn't necessarily go to that politician. It'll go to a trust or their cousin Eddie who buys him a car that lets him drive it. It'll be over time. For example, I think the mayor, who's the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. I bet 10 years from now, when you look at Brandon Johnson, he's going to be a very wealthy man, and people are going to wonder where that money came from. It came from the people of Chicago and their taxes. For whatever reason, they just seem to always be in debt. Where's the money going? It's kickbacks, and they can never account for it. That's why I say the biggest frauds is in government. People talk about the EBT, welfare queens, and stuff like that. That fraud that goes on, but the biggest thing is in government because they know that is going on. You have the thing in Minnesota with Nick Shirley, to where fraud is talked about, and it is even shown, and people are saying, "Yes, we told them about that," but they continue to it. In the case of Minnesota, Tim Waltz, he definitely knew what was going on, and he allowed it. And I believe he allowed it because he was getting a kickback from it. He was overall in charge. Him and Ms. Omar. And I've talked about that on another one. But fraud is a common thing in America. It has been exposed a lot through Doge. It showed that even though that got shut down, it showed that a lot of fraud was happening, and that's where the Democrats got so mad, because it wasn't just the Democrats. That's just who you saw on TV. But a lot of politicians do not want government spending to be audited. Just a simple audit, you will find out that billions of dollars are unaccounted for, and it's just that. I mean, we do have watch groups that do watch it, but it just it's just a real serious problem. Which goes into another thing: the national debt crisis. This is the biggest crisis that is going on. This is the currently reason why we're at war right now. One of the biggest things exported by the United States is the American dollar. A lot of reasons why we give a lot of money overseas is not to help people, it's to keep people using dollars. The United States has to keep the world using American dollars. And if everybody has a dollar, they will use it. They can't switch to another country because another currency because they have the American dollar. This is why Trump gave money to Argentina. This is why we give money to Afghanistan. This is why we give money to all these other countries. It always under the belief that it's to help the people. No, it's to keep you using dollars that are just keeps getting reprinted and reprinted, which would be seen as counterfeit or would severely devalue the currency if it was any other country. But the United States does this because so many people have dollars. So many countries do. Saudi Arabia has dollars, Qatar has dollars, even the Chinese, they have dollars. They're trying to get away from it, but they can't. I know a lot of people think the BRICS is coming through, but China has its own problems with its own people, keeping enough people employed because they have so many people that's another problem. But the 34 trillion, this is why we have inflation. This is why even some people that are making six figures now, and they say, well, I thought this was like the paycheck to have, but that was years ago. That was 20 years ago, having six figures. Making 100,000 a year, that was at the year 2000. So currently now at today's prices, you need to be make 400,000 a year to be okay. That's before taxes. If you make 400,000 before taxes, once taxes kick in, the money that you have left over, you would be okay. Yeah. Debt to GDP is at 120 cents, which is very bad. And we it's always been said that um we are borrowing from the children's future, and that's coming to show now. We have been borrowing from the future, and the future is now, and that's why things are getting harder. And people are just told it's them, it's their fault. And in some cases, it is, but some cases it's not. It's just America has declined because of this. Because right now you have two. parents working from the home barely to pay bills because the prices are just keep going up. The property tax just going up. The insurance on the house keeps going up. The insurance on the car keeps going up. Oh, medical insurance, it's going everything's going up. There's a new fee for this. You got your HOA fee. You got to pay that. Oh, the food prices, gas fees, everything just keeps going up, and it's mainly because of this debt. If the national debt was going down, people will have more money. They'll be able to afford more things. And honestly, that's also a part of the plan. Government don't want people free. They want people in bondage, in debt bondage. It's not quite slavery, it's debt bondage. You have a debt that you can barely be able to pay. Well, no, let me say that differently. Hold up. Yeah, okay, I'm better. 1 second. Yeah. So you have a debt um that you're trying to pay off that you can never seem to pay. So you're working to pay a debt, but it's still there. So you go back to work and it's just a cycle. I'm working to pay debt and then I'm creating more debt that I have to pay because of interest rates, and it's just a cycle. It's debt bondage. I forget the wording of for it, but it's not quite slavery, but it's close to it. And that's what we have in America. And this is a huge problem created by our Congress because they are not managing the money and they never will. And it goes into this, what we were talking about, the big picture. Auto debt, this was on people's mind. We got auto debt, housing crunch, national debt, credit dependency. That is the status of America. And it's not an isolated problem, it's all connected. And then it's just like I say here, it's a web of financial stress affecting millions of Americans. And this stress just causes people to do things because they need the money. Not necessarily even criminal things, just like on jobs. How they're just laying people off. And the crazy thing is how they're laying people off. It's not even in a humane level. People are laying people off via emails. Your service is no longer needed. Email. No need to come in on Monday. Not even talking to a person. It's done very cowardly. Yeah, because they know that it's not a good thing. What they're doing is not positive. But it also goes back to financial stress, what we're talking about here. Just the status of America is stressed out for the most part. Some people, I would say about 25% of the population are doing okay. Mainly because, like, even in cases where if you are a person that's financially okay, you have people around you that you care about that aren't, and you're trying to help them out. And in the beginning, you think by giving people money helps people. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because the person just becomes your dependent. They constantly depend on you to make sure that they're okay, which is not good. Okay, so what can we do? Kind of goes back to being Dave Ramsey can help you in, I would say, about 50% of it. You want to build your financial literacy, understand rates, debt, and budgeting. You have to budget, understanding debt. When you're buying that car, understand that interest rate. When they say, "Oh, you only pay 350 a month," you on the back of your head also have to pay my car insurance, which is 200 a month. Then I also have to get the car maintenance. I have to buy gas. How is this going to affect my budget? Okay, I'm looking at this rate here. This rate seems a little bit high. Thank you. I appreciate this car loan or this house loan, but I'm going to hold back. I'm going to check with another dealership, see if I can get a better rate or if I can get a lower value car, because you might see a Honda Civic that's for $35,000 at one dealership. You can find the exact same new Honda Civic for $30,000. And then some people say, well, it's only $5,000. That is a big difference in your payment when you throw interest on it. So things like that. Stay informed on housing. When you're buying a house, not only how much is it going to cost, know how to inspect the house, know what black mold is, knows that you got to check to see what type of piping it is, if there's any leaks in that house, if there's any fake walls, if the drywall itself is toxic, if it has a certain smell to it. Like, what is that smell? That's the toxic drywall. There's a such thing as toxic drywall. But that's the things you need to know about everything you're getting into. Know what PMI is, closing costs. How much is your house insurance going to be? What is your HOA fee? Is the HOA really real? Plus, you got a maintenance house. You got to upkeep the yard, cut the grass, do all of that. What area do you live in buying a house? Because if you're like in your area where it snows, do we have to check the roof to make sure there aren't any holes in it? Because like when it, it snows, the roof gets very icy. Then in the summer, it gets very hot. It wears out the roof a little bit. It wears out the roof quicker, to where you got to get the roof looked at. And the biggest thing and the hardest thing is talking to our politicians about the spending of our government. You have to look at your own spending, but also the spending of our government. Because if your government is wasting money, that means they're going to raise your property tax. And property tax is important, even if you're not a homeowner. If you're renting, your rent goes up to help pay for the property tax that the government raised. Not that it'll all work, but you can at least try. It is a rigged game when it comes to politicians. There is a way to get politicians to pay attention, but I don't want to go into that one on the stream. I'll create another stream on how to get politicians to pay attention to its people in a smart, calculated way um, on it. And that's something we need to do is really go after these politicians, but in a way to where it makes sense. Because a lot of these politicians are controlled. If you get rid of one, they'll have another one. But in a nutshell, the status of America is in alert status. A lot of the things I talked about on this is was financial, but we have financial problems, we have social problems, we have crime problems, we have discipline problems, we have political what is called political corruption ongoing. It's basically just people. Humans can be good, humans can be evil, humans can be corrupted, humans can be emotional, humans go through things. As long as you have humans, you're going to have these problems. And the only way to fully get rid of these problems is to get rid of humans. I would say also human population growth is worldwide is a problem. A lot of people won't talk about that. A lot of issues will be solved if they had less people. If you ever dig deep into environmentalists, such as I have, I'm a big environmentalist. I love clear blue water, trees, green. I love seeing green everywhere. I don't like deserts. Uh, just full of life, different animals around. Certain animals I don't want to ever see. Not like bears and stuff. You never want to see a bear in the wild. But if you dig deep in environmentalists, you'll see that the biggest thing that every environmentalist come up with is that we need less people on this planet. It may seem kind of evil and dark, but when you take away all emotion and look, you'll see that there's too many people on this planet, especially in certain areas. And I think that's what the thing that happened, the pandemic, was about. It was a test run. And because I do believe something else is going to come. But just to sum this up, the status of this America is in trouble. The biggest thing is people are looking to the bag for everything. It doesn't matter as long as you get the bag. Some people are speaking out because you have very wealthy people that have gone crazy or been through things, and they tell you that money's not everything, which is not. But you need a certain amount just to be okay. Because the average person just wants to come home, all right, to a peaceful home, be able to afford simple things like I'm on the internet right now, have food in the fridge. It doesn't have to be lobster, which I don't even see why people eat lobster. That's overpriced. A roach. You're eating roaches and shrimp. We're not supposed to eat that. They're supposed to be in the ocean, keeping the ocean clean. Just to kind of talk on that for 15 seconds. Oysters, crabs, shrimp are supposed to remain in the ocean. We're not supposed to eat that unless we're absolutely desperate for food. They keep the ocean clean. Like if you put oysters or clams. If you put clams like in a tank that's dirty, it'll clean it up. It's the clams. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. There's certain things that's their job because there's no such thing as waste on this planet. Kind of goes back into the environmentalist part of it in the status of America for it. But I kind of got away for that. Let me end this on this. America's in trouble and needs to take a real good look at itself. We're paying attention to what's going on in other countries and not ourselves. Um, but everything is being programmed into America. The crime is programmed. They know how to lower crime. The financial instability, they know how to change that. When I mean they mean the government and very wealthy people. The depression, the fighting between men and women, the women versus men battle, that is also being pushed. The agenda that's being pushed out, and just know how it's programmed. Looked at which group of people you can talk about and which group of people you cannot talk about. That way, you see it's an agenda. Um, yeah, it's just it's America's in trouble.